Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Miss back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video. We got an interesting one. We're going to be talking about week 1 of Major 4 in the CDL. Of course, I made my predictions video a few days ago, and some pretty interesting matches. So let's get underway. Oh, excuse me, Jesus. Let's get underway, and let's get into it. So, of course, here are my predictions for this past week. I did pretty well, all things considered. I got New York over Florida correct. I got Texas over Boston wrong. I got Toronto over LAG right. I got London over Toronto wrong. I got New York over LAG right. I got Texas over Minnesota wrong. I got Thieves over Breach wrong, unfortunately. Or no, sorry, right. My bad, sorry. I got that one right, sorry. Of course, I got Seattle over Paris right. I got Florida over Minnesota wrong, which was kind of surprising. And I got Atlanta over LAT right. So, overall, not too bad. I got 4 series wrong. I got, what is that? 2, 4, 6. I got 6 series right. So, a positive ratio. But, yeah, some pretty interesting matches. Some really, really good series this weekend. This New York and Florida series was really fun. It was pretty close. Of course, a crazy, crazy series between Boston and Texas. That was a really fun series. Then you see the Gorillas and Ultra ended up being 2 reverse sweeps Friday from the Breach and from the Ultra, so that was pretty cool. That was really nice. Friday was a really good day of matches. Then you move on to Saturday. A rejuvenated London Royal Ravens. They went crazy. They look way better with Gizmo. They look like Major 1 London Royal Ravens, so I'm very intrigued to see how they continue on. Of course, like I said, this is probably the best they've looked since Major 1, which is pretty good. And obviously, yeah, they looked very good against Toronto. Toronto played pretty well for the most part this weekend. Like I said in my predictions video, though, I had them going 2-0. I wouldn't have been surprised if they had gone 1-1. They were close to going 0-2, but they ended up clutching up against the Gorillas. But nonetheless, moving on to the Gorillas' second matchup of the weekend, they lost to the Subliners. So Subliners go 2-0, just as I predicted, which is really big for them to try to keep their season alive. So, anyways, continuing on, Minnesota versus Texas. I had Texas winning. Of course, Minnesota won. Minnesota looked pretty good against Texas. Texas didn't look that great this weekend at all. Prolute has been struggling for the most part. He had a few shining moments on the weekend, but yeah, of course, Texas starting off this major 0-2. Thankfully for them, they're still in second place in the seeding, which we'll look at in a moment. But continuing on, Thieves over the Breach. It wasn't really a close series. Breach didn't look that great. Vivid looked really good against Texas, but didn't look that great against the Thieves. Well, I mean, again, the Breach in general just didn't look that great against the Thieves. I thought it was going to be a much closer series, and that one was a toss-up for me. I think it could have gone either way, but nonetheless, moving on to Sunday, we've got Seattle versus Paris, and as most people probably expected, it was a 3-0 from the Surge. That was actually the only series count that I got right this weekend. Yeah, unfortunately, Paris didn't look that great. Johnny didn't look that great. Speaking of rookies, Turiel also didn't look that great this weekend. But of course, Florida ended up beating Rocker. Major Maniac was on a mission this weekend, especially against the Rocker. He took absolutely no prisoners against his former teammates, and he looked incredible this weekend. When I was discussing my issues with the Rocker at the start of this season, my issue was not with Major Maniac. I thought Priesta was the issue. I did not think Major Maniac deserved to get dropped, so I'm really glad he found another place in the league, and he looked really, really great this weekend. I love Major Maniac. He's awesome. So, moving on to the finale of the weekend, we had Atlanta versus LAT. A really close series, a really fun and entertaining series, and honestly, the Thieves looked really good this weekend, so hopefully they can continue that, because of course they're in the dogfight, of course, that is this middle part of the bracket right now. Of course, London to Florida, it's only 40 points, so there's 8 teams or 7 teams there that are only 8, or did I say 8? 40 point differential. My God, I'm struggling. Of course, only a 40-point differential from 4th to 10th. There's still a chance the Subliners can make it into the postseason, but it all depends on what is happening above them. So, of course, with the Ravens beating the Ultra, that means they continue to be in 4th place, where if Toronto had to beat the Ravens, Toronto would have been in 4th place. So, I'd say the top 5 are almost solidified for champs right now. I mean, it's obviously Atlanta and Texas are guaranteed, and I'd say Seattle is already guaranteed as well. I would imagine it's pretty much 100% that London and Toronto make it to not the finals, but to playoffs. But then after that, it's really close. Of course, the Breach, still don't know what's going to happen there. The Thieves, still don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, those two teams are such up and down teams right now, so we'll see if they can find some consistency, especially more so for the Thieves. Of course, Breach just got their first week with a new player, so I'm sure they could only get better. Continuing on, though, to the Gorillas. Still yet to win a series since they won Major 2, so they went through all of Major 3 without a win, starting off Major 4, 0-2. Not a great look for the Gorillas, and depending on how next week goes, they could fall out of the playoff qualification, so it's very possible. We shall see. And of course, Minnesota and Florida tied at 120 right now. And I know those are two very hungry teams that are looking to make the postseason. And again, like I said, Florida just looked really hungry, especially against Minnesota, more so, probably just because of Major Maniac mainly, but still very, very interesting there. And of course, Subliners, like I said, going 2-0 this weekend really brings their record closer, and it's still very possible for them to make the playoffs. They just need to basically win every series they have. So, and they have a very tough schedule. So, we shall see. Nonetheless, of course, Paris are absolutely done and dusted. They just played their 20th series of the year, 2-18. Unfortunately, I mean, we knew they weren't going to be making the playoffs. Even if they went 5-0 in qualifiers and won Major 4, they still wouldn't have enough points to make it in. Unfortunately for them, they would have got 115 points, which would bring them up to 135, which technically would put them in 7th. Sorry, but there's just no shot. Every other team above them is not winning. So, well, not even every other team, really just the Subliners, the Mutineers, the Rocker, and the Gorillas, and the Thieves, sorry. So, yeah, I mean, Paris, unfortunately, chalked for the year. It's still very possible for the Subliners to get chalked. I mean, if they go 5-0, that brings them up to 120 points, but then it depends on the event, and of course, it depends on how Florida, Minnesota, and LAG play, really. So, I mean, I'd say the 4 most interesting teams to watch right now are Florida, Minnesota, LAG, and LAT. Because, of course, Florida and Minnesota, 5 points out of the postseason break right now, and the Thieves only 10 points above the postseason break, and the Gorillas only 5 points above the break. So, we shall see, of course. I'm very excited to see how things go this weekend. We've got some really fun matches again this weekend, so of course, Toronto and Atlanta, always a banger. I'm intrigued to see how that goes. London and Minnesota. Honestly, the way London looked, I would imagine London takes that. And honestly, I would imagine London plays spoilers this weekend, really, for Minnesota and Florida. I could see them going 2-0, which is very interesting. Breach, who knows, maybe they can compete against Seattle, but Seattle, arguably the best team in the league right now, at least looks like it. I would imagine Texas beats Paris, but you never know. Texas hasn't been playing that great. And, of course, Paris, this is the last event of the year for Paris, so they want to do something, I'm sure. New York versus Seattle, an interesting one. I'm intrigued to see how that goes. I would definitely lean more towards Seattle. LAG versus Atlanta. Of course, the last time they met up, LAG won. I don't think that'll be the same outcome, though. LAG versus a Breach. Kind of a question mark, really. You'd probably favor the Breach. Paris versus LAT. I wouldn't even be surprised if there's an upset there. And honestly, for New York and Texas, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an upset there. I could definitely see New York beating Texas there, to be honest, which would be very interesting. And, if they lose to Seattle and beat Texas, then there's still a chance. Or if they go 2-0, there's definitely a chance. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Subliners go 0-2 this weekend, which, if that's the case, that may just completely be the end of their hopes to make playoffs. So we shall see. A fun weekend ahead for sure, and of course we got week 3 after that. So some fun matches. I'm very excited to see how this weekend goes. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching. Let me know how your predictions went this week, or this past week. And of course, I'll be back for my predictions video later this week for Major 4 Week 2. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.